What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another week on the Point Spread. I'm your host, Dom Cintorino, with Sam Wagman. Sam, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing well. The voice seems to be rebounding a little bit today. We were struggling a little bit yesterday, but I think it's come back quite nicely for tonight's show. How you feeling?
Pretty good, considering all things. You were in a one more day than me, so I'm
hmm
sure that took a toll on you a little bit. Glad to hear the voices there for just in time for the Point Spread tonight. Brought to you by Fantasy Points, as always. Uh, Second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and look who finally took home his first W last week. Willie Z, fresh off firing his caddy, fresh off, three straight, near top tens. He finally gets it done. It's been it feels like a year of just missed opportunities for him.
Hey,
He
cash your
should have had.
top 10.
Yeah, I did cash my top 10 finally. But I mean, let's be honest, he should have had three major wins by now. As he said recently, I should have had three majors and it could have happened with three strokes of the putter. But
Yeah.
things don't always work out that way. And here we are. Willie Z's got his first win. He's riding high. We saw Patrick Cantlay, ride momentum to two wins last year in the playoffs. Can Willie Z do it again this week?
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, especially at a new course. BMW
Yeah.
Championship has a little bit of a rotation. We see a bunch of different courses this time around. Headed to Delaware for the Wilmington Country Club, a par 71 that is extremely long, just over 7,500 yards. Bent grass greens, extremely large greens at that. Hunter's event and course preview, I think said it's the second or third largest greens on the PGA Tour.
Yep.
So you're going to want to put it close, and you're going to want to have a decent putter in terms of two putting if you don't put it close. So I don't know if you got a chance to look at the course at all, but a ton of bunkers everywhere.
Yeah, I believe per Hunter's article, I think 91 it was. That's about five per hole. So that's pretty crazy. You gotta think all those greens are surrounded by bunkers. Got a
Yep.
few ones along the fairway as well. And again, this is another tree line course. So double trouble here.
Yep. And when we're referencing Hunter's article, by the way, for anyone listening to this, fantasypoints.com, comes up on the front page. Awesome week in and week out. Sam's covered it before. I mean, just
hmm
a deep dive in the course saves you a lot of time and it's free.
Yep.
So go check that out. Stat wise, Sam, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm looking at proximity from 200 plus. That gets some of the par threes into there and the extremely long par fives. I'm looking at overall proximity, and then I'm kind of looking at accuracy in terms of off the tee over distance, but I'm torn.
Yeah. So what I figured out when looking at this and without any strokes gain data, Justin Thomas is the only person who's ever played this course at like a level where he would know what it is. And even then, it was back in an amateur championship
Yeah.
9 years ago, and the course has undergone an extensive renovation since then. So there's no data at all. That definitely it definitely doesn't mean the course isn't attackable. We saw this last year with Caves Valley here, and it was a birdie fest. But I mean, this is a course that looks long, but it doesn't play as long. Like you said, with those really long par threes and the really
Yep.
long par fives, it gets inflated a little bit. But there's still 8 of the 11 par fours that are 400 to 450 yards, which is pretty standard, and
Yeah.
even a little on the shorter side for a course of this length. So I'm looking at that par four efficiency on those holes. I'm with you on par threes over 200 yards and par three scoring there. Strokes gained putting on these firm, fast bent grass greens. It's barely rained in Delaware over the past few months, so these greens are going to be baked dry. With the massive greens, you're going to have to stick it close, and strokes gain proximity to the hole is another thing to look at. You don't want to be 80 feet away. And
Right.
then, like you said, good drives gained, fairways gained, and I did wait driving distance, into my strokes gained off the tee
Yeah.
part of my model, but you can attack this course two ways. You can bomb it, you can bomb and gouge it out. of the rough. I mean, this is deep. This is a little bit deeper rough, but those longer hitters might not have all that issues with those part fours that are a little bit on the shorter side. So, but it is definitely, better to hit this in the fairway with these
Yeah.
narrower fairways there. So
Yep.
I definitely will be looking at that 3-putt avoidance as well. And then I'm also looking at those proximity buckets like you are.
Yes, sir. So let's get into the outright picks. I started mine off with Jon Rahm. Did not make my FanDuel article. I usually try and do values, but towards the top, he is my favorite. Last week, backdoor to T5. We were obviously at the Expo. Big football weekend for me, so didn't get to pay full attention, but never really saw his name around there until like Sunday. Shoots a 66, gets another top 5 finish. I think this course suits Rahm a lot better than some people might tend to believe. I mean, I'm kind of looking at, and I threw it in the Discord earlier today for anyone that is a subscriber. Asked Hunter what he's thinking for comp courses, and he mentioned Vedanta, the Mexico Open, which Rahm won. A lot of long par 5s, a lot of bunkers, par 71 that played over 7,500 yards. So extremely similar there. Obviously, that's where Rahm won in a pretty weak field. I get we're not going to see a field as weak as that, but I mean, even in some of his struggles this year, he's stayed consistent off the tee. I like Jon Rahm at 14-1. I think that is a very good number. I don't like to get this low. I feel like 14 is probably the lowest I've been on this show when we get a decent number somewhere. So started off with Rahm there at 14-1. Big tone. First one on your card.
Yeah, and look, I mean, he's been popping at the top of everyone's models, but again, there he was right at the top of mine when I did it this morning. And look, he's playing the best golf of his life right now. Top 5 in approach, 175 to 200 proximity, good drives gained. He ranks 7th in par 4 efficiency from 400 to 450, and then first in 3-putt avoidance. I mean, he is absolutely just a wizard on the course right now, and he's doing everything he needs. This is a course that, similarly to Rahm, sets up really well for his skill set, and he's been sticking it with his irons right now. So as long as he keeps himself good off the tee, which he has been in recent tournaments, his putting has been on lockdown lately. So I'm all in on Tony, and he's my favorite short value guy this week.
Yeah, I don't see how you can back off of him. I mean, I was on him last week, hung around there the whole time. Nothing
he did
really say about him. I mean, the form is unbelievable. We're still getting pretty good numbers in these smaller fields or whatever you want to say. But Finau at 16, great look there. Sung JM 25-1. I threw that in the Discord earlier as I was writing my FanDuel article. I love everything I'm seeing about Sung Jae. I think it's a pretty good number. Especially like FanDuel picks. He was my first guy in. He's a great value over there in terms of DFS. But last 2 months, no one has been better off the tee than Sung Jae Im, and he's doing a lot of it with his accuracy, hitting a lot of fairways, which we like to see. TPC Twin Cities is another comp course that I'm looking at, the 3M Open. Sung Jae had a runner-up finish there just a month ago. So it's good to see what he's able to do off the tee. It's good to see that he had success at a comp course like that. BMW Championship wise, 3rd place finish last year, 4 strokes out of the playoff between Patrick Cantlay and Bryson DeChambeau, and then had a T11 back in 2019 at the BMW. And I know the courses rotate a little bit, but Sung Jae has shown to succeed in this. 2 top 12s in the last 3 years is fine by me. So Sung Jae Im is my second guy in.
So my second guy in is also literally by far my favorite bet this week. I'm taking him pretty much on all his placements and the outright here. Victor Hovland is just very high in my model. He graded 5th in my model, and I wasn't really expecting that. He had a pretty off week, pretty much overall last week, but still managed a sneaky top 20 in there.
Yep.
These large greens, you would think with the sand bunkers, pretty much surrounding the greens, and Hovland pretty famously being, or infamously, I get this, at this point, one of the worst short game players, perhaps the worst short game player on tour, that would be an issue. But the fact that these greens are huge kind of mitigates that a little bit for him. So you have that. He is quietly a very good putter this year. He's 9th in strokes gained putting this year. He's a better bent grass putter than any other surface, and he's gained strokes putting in 8 of his last 9 events. So there's that. He ranks 4th in strokes gained approach, and he's 13th in that par 3 200 proximity bucket as well. So Hovland kind of fits this really well. This is, he's one of those rare combination of players that is not only a distance driver, averaging, 315, 320 yards of drive, but he's also in the top half of the PGA Tour in driving accuracy. So, he's one of those guys that consistently hits it straight as well as far. So that's going to be a huge asset this week on those narrow tree line fairways like we were talking about, because a lot of those distance guys don't hit it straight all the time. So this number was, it seems short, but in this kind of field, Hovland is ready to take that next step. He showed he wasn't quite ready to win a major at the Open back in July, but I think he's ready to go deep in a FedEx Cup playoff event.
Yeah, and last year, towards the end of the year, is when he started popping his form as well. He did it on both the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour, so might be Hovland's time, and you could be early on it, which is why you're getting a 30-1. I mean, earlier in the year, you're getting him in the teens. I mean, if you were lucky. So, next up, Niemann.
So Niemann. So my course comp for this was Muirfield Village. And the reason I like that is because, it's the fast bent grass greens and fairways, and very, very tight fairways, and very penal rough. So that stuck out to me, not in types of length, but kind of the course layout and kind of composition of that. And obviously Niemann had a T3 finish at Muirfield Village this year for the Memorial Tournament. So that stuck out to me. Ranks 10th in good drives gained, 11th in the 150 to 175 proximity bucket, 15th in strokes gained off the tee. And I really think that Niemann is also one of those guys who's just right on the brink. We've seen him dominate a difficult tournament before when he won the Genesis wire to wire earlier this year. I truly believe that Niemann has, kind of hit a little bit of a rough patch over the past couple months, but he comes in, he played decently well last week, and I expect him to play really well this week at a course where, again, if you can hit it far and you can hit it straight, something he's pretty good at on both sides, you should be able to set up to succeed.
Yeah, I like Niemann quite a bit, especially from a DFS perspective. This next one, Sam, I went back and forth. Gonna keep it straight to the point, but if you're throwing a 65-1 on Hideki just because of uncertainty with his whole neck injury last week, I'm gonna jump on it. That's on DraftKings Sportsbook. Everywhere else has him 50-1. He's not gonna model out recently for people because his last few events were the Open, Genesis Scottish, and the U.S. Open, 3 which it's the PGA Tour site and some main stat engine sites do not have strokes gained data for, so you're not going to see much out of Matsuyama. Clearly succeeds with his long irons. He has shown that year in and year out ever since he got on the PGA Tour, so those 200-plus approach shots. I like what Matsuyama brings to the table there. 3M Open I mentioned as a comp course. The only time he played it was 2019. Turned into top 10. Was awesome from tee to green, off the tee approach, everything. I mean, he played really well. So it was more of a number thing for me there, like comparing him to some of the guys around him that I was going to throw into this range. I just took the talent and the upside, but also a question mark. If he does withdraw again, hopefully it's before and you get your money back. I'm definitely not throwing a lot, but it's worth a sprinkle.
Yeah, I mean, with Matsuyama, you never really know kind of what you're going to get with him, especially this year. He's been so, on either side. And yeah, the neck injury definitely worries me a little bit, but I agree with the talent there. If he's healthy and he sticks it out, and again, there's no cut line this week. So there's a good chance that we see a very good round or a very good week out of Matsuyama.
Yeah. And then let's get to your last one, JT Poston, 95
Yep.
to 1.
And I kind of threw this in because I realized my card was really tight at the top of the board there, and I kind of wanted to throw in someone who I thought could really surprise,
Yeah.
just because of the level of play he's been throwing out the last couple months. Poston, has, what is it? Four top 15s in his last 5 starts. He's got four top 20s in his last 5 starts. Sorry, he's got the John Deere Classic win. He's got the Travelers T2, the 3M Open T11, FedEx St. Jude last week. He finished T20, and then the Wyndham T21. So he is firing on all cylinders in his game right now. And again, this is a course that you do good if you hit the fairways. He can hit the fairways. He ranks second in that par 4 efficiency metric from 400 to 450. He's a very good bent grass putter, 9th in strokes gained putting on bent grass. And again, like I said, top 20 in that good drives gained metric. So he's definitely a long shot. He's most likely not going to win, but there are some guys in that range that can really go out and make some noise. Guys like Denny McCarthy at 130 to 1, Poston at 95 to 1 over on FanDuel. Keegan Bradley at 100 to 1 is interesting there. So, the back end of this field is littered with guys who can compete, and they're getting really deep odds there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that 95 at all. I don't know how much deeper you want to go than that, but clearly Poston's shown the ability to win this year. Why not do it again?
Yep.
Finishing positions. I hopped on the top 20 chain this week, Sam. Top 40 is it's not something that I want to do. I mean, you're going to bet the bottom guys. I mean, we got 68, 66 guys in the field right now. And so I can't do quick math, but a lot of guys are going to finish top 40. So the odds aren't fantastic unless you're super confident in a guy towards the bottom. I guess go for it, but that's not where I'm planting my flag this week. First one in, Keith Mitchell plus 175. He's another guy that I had in my FanDuel values. A lot of success putting outside of 25 feet this season. Ranks 6th in the field on those putts. We mentioned how big these greens are, so you're going to be put in a lot of situations where you have these type of long lag putts on these big greens. Also ranks inside the field's top 10 this season on the par 5s from 6 to 650, which we're going to see a few of on the scorecard here this week. One of the longer hitters off the tee on the PGA Tour, so that's clearly going to play into his advantage on some of these long holes. Like I said, 7,500 yards plus this week. A lot come on those par 5s, but that's where you're going to kind of score. And then, I mean, you're looking at the last couple months. He hasn't lost strokes off the tee in quite a while. Just 2 weeks back at the Wyndham Championship, he had a T54 finish, led the field off the tee. Sometimes I like looking at guys who had bad finishes. Their putter could have been off or their irons, but he was absolutely smashing off the tee. So I went with Mitchell as my first guy in at plus 175 for a top 20.
I like that. I went with Cameron Young. I broke my rule. I never bet
I like it
that are minus money, just for the sake of variance and just anything can happen. But Cameron Young, I mean, at minus 110, this feels as good as any. And we're adhering to I'm dubbing it the Cameron Young rule. He can win at literally any course, or he can finish high at literally any type of course. He's done it 6 times, 6 top 3s on 6 different types of courses this year. Like, this is the Cam Young effect. Like, he's just an all around type of guy. He can play on literally any type of course. So that's my feeling with him. He falls into that bomb and gouge style of player that I was talking about earlier that can definitely succeed on this kind of course. His strokes gained approach have been a little bit off over the past couple of weeks, but he's definitely the type of guy that can bomb it out and then play in with his short irons there. I did think it was notable for him that he gained strokes putting on Sunday last week and, kind of finished a little bit stronger. He had a rough first few days, but shot a 66 on Sunday, finished at 6 under, and, got back into it to finish top 40 last week. He was second in strokes gained off the tee this year. I mean, again, that's going to be a big thing for this week, getting it into play there. But again, this is a bet on the player, not as much the stats for me.
Yeah.
I feel as comfortable betting Cam Young as I would betting Scottie Scheffler, but I'm getting a much, much better number with Cameron Young to place in there. And again, without a cut line, this T20 is a lot more attainable, which is kind of why I broke the rule this week. So look, this is as good a place as any for him to win. I kind of did not put him on my outright card, kind of a little bit because of the stigma. There's been some rumors floating around that he's gonna join Live after the playoffs, and the PGA's kind of outlook if a Live bound player wins a playoff event is not great.
Right.
So just for that small reason, I left him off my outright card, but his outright number is not bad, 28-1. And
it's not bad at all.
I thought long and hard about putting him on my card there, but I ultimately decided to leave him off. But I'm going to bet this -110 number top 20 all day.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Sahith Theegala, rookie. Another rookie. Cam Young, back-to-back rookies we got. Plus 250 for a top 20. Currently sits at 27th in the FedEx Cup standings, so needs another solid week if he wants to punch his ticket to East Lake. Like I said, rookie on tour who has shown a ton of upside, as there's a lot of rookies who have done this, but he's finished in the top 25 in 10 of his 30 events this year. Half of those were top 10 finishes, so 5 top 10 finishes last week at the St. Jude. Led the field in proximity from 200 plus, a stat that we mentioned at the top of the show that we will be looking at. Also ranks second in the field in par 5 scoring over the past few weeks. Really consistent with the putter. During that time, he's third in the field in putts from 25 feet or longer. Another thing like Keith Mitchell that he does well. So I like Theegala for another top 20 off of his T13 last week at the St. Jude.
Yeah, and he played really well. There was a point where I thought he might actually contend to win that tournament.
Yeah.
Without watching a single second of the tournament, obviously, but he really looked good from a statistics perspective.
Yep.
Going into my next guy, Shane Lowry at plus 130. This for me was a bet on another course comp, and I can't remember if we talked about Firestone already.
Not yet, but
it plays pretty similar to this. Narrow fairways, thick rough, firm fast bent grass greens, slight advantage to the longer hitters in the field. Shane Lowry won the WC Bridgestone at Firestone. In the last 5 times it was ran there. So he is definitely able to compete at a course like this. One of the more safe putters in the field, obviously, always, and one of the better strokes gained on approach players in the field, as always. So I'm not really concerned about Lowry here. Also 11th in that 150 to 175 proximity and 12th in strokes gained tee to green. He also ranks in the top 20 in 3-putt avoidance as well. Came in a little lower than I thought he would on my model, but I'm pretty sure that's because his good drives gain stat is not the best. He's in the top 30, but it's not an elite number for him. And I weighted it pretty heavily. So I do think that Lowry can move past some of his off the tee issues that he's had in his last couple of starts. I do remember he started off really bad a couple tournaments ago, had a triple bogey on the first hole to start. Don't want to see that again. We definitely want to see him hit it hard, hit it straight, and get there, in regulation. He's one of those guys that putts really well. So I would expect, a lot of good lag putts from him this week. So
yeah, that plus 130 is a very sneaky number given his upside and what he's shown throughout the year. I mean, it only takes 1 week to be half of what he was earlier in the season. And you compare that to even like a Keith Mitchell at plus 175. I mean, you're getting a lot more juice on Mitchell, but they're in a different tier.
Yep. A no-brainer for me at that number.
Next up, Keegan Bradley plus 220.
So surprise, surprise. Talk about a sneaky number. Keegan
Yeah.
Bradley rated out 6th in my model,
Wow.
and I'm not sure how he got there. It's kind of nuts. He ranks really well in those proximity buckets. He's top 10 in both the 150 to 175 and the 175 to 200. He's 7th in that par 400 to 450 efficiency, and he's 7th in 3-putt avoidance. Plus, he ranks in the top 30 in both strokes gained approach and good drives gained. So he gets there. His putting has always been sneakily good as well. He just needs to string together 4 solid rounds, and this gets there immediately because the talent for him is really good, and he's going to be a really good DFS play as well. He's only 7,200 this week.
Yeah.
So look, Keegan Bradley gets forgotten when talking about some of the upper echelon players in the game, but the talent's still there.
Yeah.
If this was 5-6 years ago, we'd be talking about him, as an outright here. But the games come a little pass him by a little bit. But I really think he contends here. The 220 is a really good number given this field.
Yep. Right past that 220 is 300. I got Emiliano Rio, and it seems like I have him on my finishing placements or outright card every single week, but he's just playing so consistent over the last few months. I've mentioned TPC Twin Cities, the 3M Open as being a comp. Finished 2nd there with Sung Jae. The Mexico Open at Vidanta, 33rd there.
Mm-hmm.
So has had a little bit of success on 2 very similar courses. Look at over the last few months, Sam. I mean, he rates out 8th for me. Top 5 in procs from 200 plus. Top 5 in strokes gained off the tee. He's 8th in ball striking. 23rd in 3-putt avoidance. So Grillo across the board does exactly what I'm looking for. You're getting a pretty steep number, and I think a top 20 is well in the cards for him this week.
I agree. Let's get to my last one, and this was one of the more surprising numbers I saw. And obviously it's a low number.
The miscut effect.
Yeah, the miscut effect, but still the third lowest top 10 odds in the field behind Rory and Rahm. But this is still Scottie Scheffler. He's no longer number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings, but he's still the best player in the world. He's been the best player in the world this year, and I think he's still the best player in this field. So, but it is Scottie Scheffler. Plus 140 for a top 10 is very good. You're betting on the player here, but it doesn't hurt that he ranks 1st in good drives gained percentage. He ranks 8th in strokes gained approach, 4th in strokes gained tee to green, 5th in the proximity buckets, 9th in the par 3 efficiency.
And not knowing a lot about this course, like he's as well-rounded as anybody in this field.
Correct.
I mean, he can get hot with the putter. I'm not too worried about him 3-putting and losing a bunch of strokes there. He's consistent off the tee in terms of length and distance, just very solid across the board, and not breaking your rule either on a top 10, plus 140.
Correct. And get this, 7th most expensive DraftKings salary on the board.
I know.
He's behind Patrick Cantlay. Come on, Patrick Cantlay, Scottie Scheffler. This is Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't fade Scottie Scheffler. We don't fade Scottie Scheffler.
I thought about throwing him on the outright card. It was really between him and Rahm, but yeah, like you said, I think he's as consistent as it gets. So
his numbers were 200 points away from going onto my card. 1,800, that's an automatic Scheffler slam for me.
Maybe DraftKings will give you a nice little boost, and you can get it plus 300 or whatever they do. They haven't done that in quite a while, but
and maybe I can move to a state that has legal DraftKings sports betting odds.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. But for everyone else out there, definitely please look for that. Dom's absolutely right.
Yep. So that'll do it this week on the point spread. Join us next week for the Tour Championship to round out the 2021-2022 season. That is it for the point spread. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.